Hey everyone, welcome back to Saturn Slam Review. This is it, folks. This is a historic episode of the Saturn Slam Review. Normally, I wouldn't waste my time dedicating a whole show to a B pay-per-view like Hell in a Cell. And the reason I don't do this is because generally the quality of these shows has just been poor for the past year or so. So I don't really care to watch it in a timely manner to put out a review. But
just poor.
Just
poor.
Poor. However, tonight WWE has exceeded my not tonight, Sunday night. WWE exceeded my already low expectations for their product by perhaps constructing one of the stupidest finishes to a main event I've ever seen in my entire life. I've been watching wrestling for a decade and a half almost. And I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen WWE when it was good. I've seen WWE when it was bad. I've seen TNA at its peak. I've seen TNA at its valley. I have seen a lot of shit. And for all the stupid match types that Vince Russo came up with, like a reverse battle royal or a King of the Hill match, yes, don't strain yourself to think about it, Peter. It's nightmare fuel. None of them ever had a finish quite this dumb within the confines of the match. And not only did this show happen, the show that, mind you, had but 3 matches advertised coming into the pay-per-view. It beat December to Dismember, lauded as one of the worst shows WWE has ever produced, by a whole 2 announced matches.
Yeah, this match will be so infamous. This is the dog shit in the chocolate ice cream. It doesn't matter how much fucking ice cream you made. It doesn't matter how good that ice cream was. There's dog shit in it, and that's all everyone's going to talk about.
Yeah. AEW debuted last Wednesday on TNT. Drew 1.4 million viewers. Peter, would you like to take a guess at how many viewers Raw drew that same week for its season premiere?
800,000.
Raw drew 2.6 million. Now, that might sound like a big difference, but consider for a fact that Raw has been on the air for over 25 years, and AEW just started. Also bear in mind that that Raw has seen its audience erode by 10% year over year for the past 8 years. Now, it's not inconceivable that some of these Raw viewers might go to AEW. But if you look closer at the demographics from Wednesday, AEW killed NXT in all the target demos. But you know what's something about the NXT demos? They didn't change. There was no appreciable change, which means AEW brought in casual fans or new fans, lapsed fans, new fans. Doesn't really matter. Fans dissatisfied with what WWE was offering them. It drew in 1.4 million of those viewers. Now, with the audience eroding for Raw and the audience gaining for AEW and SmackDown made its big debut on Fox. I've got some things to say about SmackDown before we talk about Hell in a Cell. Don't you worry. It all goes into my rant about how shitty this company is. Now, SmackDown debuted on Fox to the tune of 3.9 million viewers. This is a show that was hyped up across all of Fox Sports, playoff baseball, football. All the Fox media empire is pushing the SmackDown show very, very, very hard. They announced Sting. They announced The Undertaker. They announced Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then later in the week, they announced that The Rock himself was going to be on the show. 3.9 million viewers.
Exciting.
Last year, in that exact same time slot, Tim Allen's show Last Man Standing did 4.6 million viewers. Fox paid $1 billion for a show that is outdrawn in its time slot by a Tim Allen sitcom in the year 2018.
Holy shit, dog. Holy dog shit.
So with all this in mind, all this ratings information in mind, all this shit, you'd think WWE would get the message and start to improve the quality of its product. But you would be wrong, because for 72 hours, they churned out the worst bullshit imaginable just in time to drive all these fans to AEW.
Perfect timing.
Let's start with SmackDown, shall we? The results of the show aren't important apart from the highlights. Highlight number 1. Despite advertising on television and in local markets that Sting, The Undertaker, and Stone Cold Steve Austin would be appearing on SmackDown, none of them were on the show. Where was Sting, you ask? Sting was backstage. How about Undertaker? Undertaker was called and said he wasn't needed. Stone Cold Steve Austin? No one's quite sure where he is, but he wasn't on fucking SmackDown. That's for sure. No.
They called Undertaker and said they didn't need him?
Yeah. But, they did need them because they needed those 3 big names from the past to fill a fucking 10,000-seat arena for their big debut on Fox. Because WWE's live attendance is crumbling. Because for years, they've been feeding us bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. In just the time we've been doing this show, mid-2016 to now late 2019, the fucking quality of the program has fallen off a goddamn cliff. I used to look forward to pay-per-views every month. Now, I can't be bothered. And after this weekend, I'm done. I'm done with main roster shows. I'm done with main roster pay-per-views. I'm done watching WWE live. I'll watch NXT, but I'll watch it on delay so that I don't get my ratings, because this company does not deserve any of my patronage. And if it weren't the only place I can get a takeover, I wouldn't have the WWE Network either.
Fair. Yes, agree.
Now, this show was highlighted by a WWE Championship match between Kofi Kingston and Brock Lesnar. Kofi Kingston has been WWE Champion for about 6 months. Some people never really bought into his reign. I don't even think his reign was that great, but hey, he's been champion for a long time. He's beaten a lot of names. They've invested cachet into his title reign. Brock Lesnar beats Kofi Kingston for the WWE title in 5 seconds.
Oh, I heard that he lost, but 5 seconds? My God.
5 seconds, bell to bell. This transitioned into a segment with Rey Mysterio leading Cain Velasquez, former UFC heavyweight champion, guy who beat Brock Lesnar, to the ring to set up that match, presumably for Saudi Arabia. Oh, that's right. They're doing a 4th Saudi Arabia show next month, in between this big premiere week and then this show. Maybe that's why they only announced 3 fucking matches for this show, is they forgot they were having it. So that was SmackDown. The company wantonly, falsely advertised to sell tickets and then did not deliver on anything, but they got the money. It doesn't matter. Fox paid $1 billion for SmackDown. NBC Universal paid almost $1 billion for Raw. Separately. They've got $50 million a year coming in from the Saudi Arabia deal. They don't need to make content for us. And that's readily apparent that they know that when they put on a show like Hell in a Cell. We're going to finally talk about Hell in a Cell. I did not expect much from the show. I did not really care to see anything from the show, but I watched it anyway because, well, I didn't have anything better to do on a Sunday night. So I turn on the pay-per-view, and the first match is Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch inside Hell in a Cell. I remember Sasha Banks' last Hell in a Cell match, wasn't that impressed, so I went into this with low expectations. But they started to exceed my expectations. They had a fantastic match that was both better psychologically, better technically, and fucking more brutal than the Med Cell match. And also ended in a way that made sense.
Yeah, this was the actual Hell in a Cell match. The other one was a travesty. It was a haunted cage match and a black pit of despair. This one was great. I agree. Good job, guys.
These 2 women had the match of the night. People get on me, and they say, Kurt, you're too hard on the women, because I have the audacity to hold them to the same standards I hold the men in this age of equality. But that's neither here nor there. But when they had the best match on the show. They didn't have the best women's match on the show. They had the best match on the show, and one of the best main roster matches in months. Regardless of men or women, doesn't matter. It was really good. The psychology was excellent. They told the story about how Sasha was working over the arm so Becky couldn't get into this armor. The whole match, she worked over that arm. And they hit each other with everything. They went through tables this time. They didn't try 3 times and fail. They remembered to cut the tables, I guess.
Yes. Yep.
And they in the match ended with a decisive winner in the middle of the ring. And I was like, wow, that was a fucking great-ass match. Maybe I was wrong about this show. Next up, Tornado Tag Match. Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns versus the Bludgeon Brothers. But they're not calling them the Bludgeon Brothers anymore. Yes. I was like, okay, well, this match is probably going to be, like, okay. But no, it was better than okay. It was another excellent match. Some say the match of the night. I personally prefer the Cell match, the first one, but that's a totally justifiable opinion. Everyone was out there working really hard, even Eric Rowan. Big Red himself looking pretty good in this match. They had all the plunder, they had all the mayhem that you would like, and, well, Babyface won. That's to be expected. They're moving on. It's a good, solid match. So they've strung 2 in a row. And I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty good. Now, there's only one other match announced on the show. Surely this isn't a show that's going to end in a tight 90 minutes. No. They went to fill time. And to fill time, they trotted out Raw matches.
Oh, this was the turtle head right here.
On pay-per-view. Matches such as Mustafa Ali and Randy Orton. Yeah, that match was pretty good, but Mustafa Ali's face might as well have been on fucking milk carton for the last 6 months of television. Fuck if I've cared about what Randy Orton's done since 2011.
Yeah. His only innovation has been the second RKO is now what he does.
Yeah. He's starting to become self-aware and teasing like the RKO is coming from a certain spot and then wrestling like 2 minutes more and then hitting the RKO. And hey,
it subverts your expectations.
This was a fine wrestling match that no one in the building really cared about. Speaking of milk cartons, Kabuki Warriors, where the fuck have they been? Well, they're back, and now they're the women's tag team champions. Who can really care about those titles, though, because they've been booked into oblivion ever since they decided to put them on the Iconics at WrestleMania. Why? Who knows? It's not like they had a plan for them based on how they booked them afterwards. Meanwhile, Aleister Black hasn't wrestled a match on pay-per-view.
He's been stuck behind a door, so I've heard.
Yeah. You know, Lacey Evans wrestled for 3 straight pay-per-views for the women's title. Aleister Black hasn't had a fucking match.
Someone should let him in.
You want to tell me that this company knows how to use its talents? They know how to push a star? What stars have they made? Seth Rollins, as we'll get to, is a complete failure as a champion. The people couldn't give a fuck about Seth Rollins. Braun Strowman's been booked into oblivion because you had him challenged for the title 8,000 times and never won a goddamn one of them. Roman Reigns, he had to beat cancer to get over as a babyface. And that's the guy
and he had to deal with leukemia too.
Yeah, that's the guy WWE pushed for 4 years to be the top guy. They don't know how to push anyone. That's why no one's fucking over. That's why crickets when the Kabuki Warriors won these paperweight titles. Then we had another match that we've never seen before. Chad Gable versus Baron Corbin and his stupid crown. Oh, wait a minute. We've seen this match 3 fucking times already. Oh, what's that you say? Another time? Oh, Chad Gable wins by a roll-up, a slip-on-the-banana peel finish, and he can't even make it out of the building until Baron Corbin beats him up backstage, ensuring no one gets over.
Yikes.
And
Yikes.
Then we had Bayley versus Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's title. Did I miss one?
Viking Raiders?
Oh, that's right. The Viking Raiders and Braun Strowman versus the OC. A match that existed for one spot after the infamous disqualified for kicking too much ass finish where Braun Strowman hit a right hand of doom to a springboarding AJ Styles. because this Tyson Fury angle with Braun Strowman is just going to be Floyd Mayweather versus Big Show all over again.
They got it. It's everyone's got to tune in. And
Look
again,
up Tyson Fury's stance on, well, just about anything, but let's go with a fun one like homosexuals. Read up what he's had to say about them in public. Read about some of his other things. I'm not a big proponent of cancel culture, but you don't have to do business with Tyson Fury. And this gypsy has some very backwards views on some people.
They've disowned good wrestlers for less.
Yeah, they have for far less. They've cut people. They've buried them for far less. And they're paying Tyson Fury God knows how much money per appearance. And this is a company that just spent all of September telling you to donate to Connor's Cure and how they set up this charity and how they're so wonderful a philanthropic organization. And this month they're going to say that Susan G. Komen does all this great work even though they steal money from their donors and, barely contribute anything to research. But no, they're a breast cancer charity. Look how charitable we are. We're WWE. We're the charitable company.
Buy our pink merch this month.
And then they're going to go and they're going to fly to Saudi Arabia. The human rights capital of the world, Saudi Arabia.
I wonder if they're going to be flying the pink ribbon over there.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to do that. Probably not. That's why they booked it for November, because they didn't have to do that. And then they're going to fucking pay guys like Tyson Fury a ton of money to be on television for maybe a small bump in ratings because no one watches boxing anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
Then we had Bayley versus Charlotte.
Yes.
And who'd have thought that this interesting Bayley character would lose to Charlotte for the title? What's this, title number fucking 10 for Charlotte?
Yeah.
She's been on the main roster 4 years. She's averaging 2.5 title reigns per year. And she missed some time hurt during that. This is insane. She's going to have 20 by the time this is over. But yeah, Bayley's beaten. What do you do with her now? Who's the next person to challenge Charlotte on SmackDown? I mean, they're having a draft, sure. I'll grant you they're having a draft. Maybe Sasha gets moved over to SmackDown and we got to suffer through babyface Charlotte versus heel Sasha. I mean, heel Sasha's fine, but goddamn, babyface Charlotte is not.
Yeah. Yep. She reminds me of Lesnar during the worst part of his title reign, when it didn't matter. The matches with him didn't matter because it was just gonna end up the same way anyways. There were no stakes, and there are no stakes here.
Yeah, I mean, it's mind-blowing to me that she already has 10 fucking title reigns in such a short time. If they don't cool it, she's gonna have 30 by the time 2025 rolls around.
And all right, there is a side nibble that I have to put in here, because we're in this sort of mood. No offense to Charlotte, whoever did the makeup and effects for her coming out this match, didn't do it well, because she had a very clean line right around her neck where you could see where the foundation started. And she was a shade paler from the neck up, which gave me, again, no offense to her, this is on the fucking makeup people, she looked like fucking Joaquin Phoenix that I saw last week. I was like, this is not, oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh god. Oh man. No, that was me after this match.
Yeah. So
the nexus of the darkness and the drop of poison in the gullet of WWE is this right here.
You have this match. This match that was announced before the title match at Clash of Champions for no goddamn reason in particular. Just the Fiend's the hot new act. He's wrestled one match. Put him in a title match in the cell against Seth Rollins. It's Halloween. It's Hell in a Cell. It's spooky season. Here's a spooky new character.
That's what Hell in a Cell is. It's a spooky card.
But they had all this time, and this is what they came up with. So they shouldn't have booked this match. They booked themselves into a corner. Seth just won the title back from Brock Lesnar. He defended it, a hard-fought win against Braun Strowman. You can't take the belt off of him right now. You have the Fiend. He's the hot new act. He's undefeated. You can't beat him. It's impossible. Why would you put them in a match with no shit finish you could do?
Yeah.
To get out of it.
And then you gave this to add a little insult to injury. Keep in mind, as we describe what happens in this match, that the only other match that got more time than this one was the other Hell in a Cell match. This got 17 and a half minutes.
Yes, it did. And it felt like 25. So they do their entrances, and the Fiend has the old cane lighting. This match takes place in red lighting to make it look more spoopy. And I'm sure that was so easy to see through the red cell for all the fucking people in the crowd. So they're doing this match, and it's really nothing special. They're doing some cell shenanigans. Fiend's beating him pillar to post, and then Seth Rollins hits, I don't know, fucking 18 stomps. The next
He
person
hits 3 in a row.
Next person who gets beat with a stomp is a fucking chump.
Oh, this was the turning point.
Yeah.
It was, I think for me, when I realized what was happening and where my life was going, was the second time he kicked out at 1 out of a finisher.
Yeah, the pedigree.
Yes.
I'm sure Triple H was just thrilled with that. And then Seth gets angry. He gets frustrated. He starts hitting him with chairs. I'm like, well, I thought that he was going to beat the Fiend clean because Fiend was kicking out of all this stuff. And it's like, well, of course he's going to win now. So he starts hitting him with chairs. I'm like, okay, this is how he's going to swing the advantage. He buries him in all kinds of chairs and ladders and tables and shit. The Fiend keeps getting up. And then he takes a mallet. Mind you, Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, has been hit with chairs, a ladder, the cell, the ring post, and all sorts of other shit in this very match.
And this sequence in particular, I believe,
yeah.
had been going on for the better part of probably like 7-8 minutes now, with Fiend on the ground, making a ring angel, and literally, it's not even a rest hold, because there's got to be a hold in a rest hold.
He's just taking a nap.
Seth feels the need to continue piling on things. He takes out a toolbox and hits him with the toolbox.
Yes.
Does not use any tools, like in another cage match with a toolbox. I distinctly remember screwdrivers going through people's ears.
Oh.
But no, Seth uses the box. He's like a fucking cat. Don't get him the cat bed. He'll use the box. And he puts it on top of this mountain of junk on top of the Fiend here, and then he pulls out the sledgehammer, and the crescendo of garbage truly reaches a screaming climax as the crowd anti-climaxes here.
Yes, Seth Rollins is disqualified for attempting to use the sledgehammer. Now, some of you, this may have not registered, so let me explain in a little bit greater detail. Seth Rollins was disqualified in a Hell in a Cell match for attempting to use a weapon after he had already been burying this fucker in weapons for the better part of 7 minutes.
Amazing.
This,
Amazing, astounding, disheartening.
crowd was not pleased, as you might imagine. They were the loudest chants I've ever heard of restart the match and then later AEW. Gee, I sure hope there aren't any casual fans in the audience who are now curious as to what AEW is.
Nope. And again, everything about that finish, not finish. It wasn't a finish. It was a no contest. About the last thing that happened in this match was not a thing that should happen. If you like break it down into all its constituent parts, it's just a fucking Matryoshka doll of garbage. The ref is, before Seth does it, he's like, the ref is like trying to call him off of using the mallet, like, or the sledgehammer. He's like, that's not you, man. You don't do this. You can't do this. And I'm like, shut up, ref. Who are you?
No DQ.
You are no moral authority in this ring. What are you trying? And then you think back to every other fucking match, cage match or no, where, as one commenter so eloquently put it, Triple H's sledgehammer was like a fucking rest hold.
Yeah.
That was part of his ring gear. And you're going to tell me that Seth Rollins coming out trying to hit a man with a sledgehammer was just too far? Was so bad that you had to pull out the whole fucking med crew?
Qualification. In a match that is very explicitly no DQ. Now, I should have been a little more concerned because on WWE's social media, they put out a poll. A tool used to gauge opinion based on posing a question. And the question posed by this poll was, how do you think the Hell in a Cell match between Seth Rollins and The Fiend will end? Pinfall? Submission? Disqualification? Now, due to the current knowledge of the wrestling zeitgeist, at the time, everyone was under the impression there could be no disqualification in a Hell in a Cell match. So this poll was rightfully ripped. However, they're not dumb. They put things in for a reason. And it got me thinking that they might fucking do a DQ in this Hell in a Cell match. And as he's burying him for 6 minutes, I'm like, no, there's no way. Someone had to think better of this by that time. But then they did it. The Mad Lads fucking did a DQ in a Hell in a Cell match a single year, one solitary year after doing a no contest in a Hell in a Cell match. And I remember I got on I got on the microphone here after that show, and I ranted and I raved, and I said this was the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. Little did I know that 12 months later I'd be doing the exact same thing. But you know what? This is the last time. I'm not going to let it be a Hell in a Cell 2020 review on the Saturn Slam here and me losing my mind over the shit again. So until conditions approve, that's it. I'm done. I'm not going. Peter, feel free to watch them. The network subscription will stay active, but I will not watch a single main roster show unless I hear about a blow-away match, and then I'll watch the match. But I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste 3-4 hours of my life once a month on Sunday. I got to get to bed. It's a work night.
Yeah. I don't have a chair and a ladder to put me to sleep.
And if you're in the situation, like, vote with your viewership. You know, I have a lot of hesitations and reservations about AEW. Part of me still thinks it's Cody and the Bucks found themselves a money mark, and now they're going to book themselves over for the next 20 years until it goes out of business and they go to WWE anyway. That's a possibly irrational fear of mine. But I'm going to tell everyone, go watch AEW. Show WWE that you're not going to put up with the bullshit. Stop watching their stuff. And if AEW picks up a lot of those viewers, and suddenly we're seeing Raw like 2.4, AEW 1.8, it's going to get them to sweat a little bit. And maybe we'll get some people who know what the fuck they're doing in charge.
And WWE will crumble and bury a lot of otherwise promising people with it.
I mean, they're financially set for the next like 10 years. Regardless of what happens, they're getting paid $2.5 billion over the next 10 years or 5 years over these TV deals and some other stuff. They're getting paid crazy money. Their network subscriptions could drop by half and it would barely move the stock because like 98% of the money is coming from these TV contracts. Live attendance is shit. Viewership is shit. Television rights fees keep going up though.
It's something out of the Twilight Zone. I can see it now in a couple years, where there's the shows are barren. No one's watching it on TV. No one's watching it in the theater, and it's just Vince out there, just staring out at his crowd and smiling. As he somehow imagines that this is actually working.
Yeah, I'm going to continue to watch NXT on a delay. I'll watch AEW live every week, and we will be discussing exclusively AEW shows and NXT shows and the odd indie show we go to, and possibly we'll make exceptions for the big four pay-per-views because I'll probably still watch those, but often those are the most disappointing. So who knows? But I'm done with these B shows. I don't care. It's not worth the mental strain. It really isn't. I've reached my breaking point.
Yep. Let's end this.
Yeah, so that's going to do it. Check out saturnstuds.com for links to our social media and podcasts. If you want to follow this show on Twitter, you cannot because it doesn't exist. However, you can follow me at Bronxinator, BRONXANATOR, and I will be the closest thing to a Saturn Slam Twitter that you will find out there because I do not feel like making another account. So.
Yep. So we'll be back later in the week talking about the shows that are worth talking about.
Yep. And
till then, kick out of the main roster.
Yep. Join us in freedom and enjoy life. It's the grass is greener on the other side, people. Just give up.
Surrender to the void.
It's not worth the fight. All right, be well, stay safe, and grapple like it's 1995.
Peace.